An unmarked ship enters Act Two's star system. Not exactly sure where their prey is hiding, but sure they are close. On the planet of Act Two, that prey sharpens their teeth.
Kira, your lightsaber skills are almost back to their former ability. It's interesting that your force training is coming back to you but not your memory. Have you remembered anything as of late?
No, Master Skywalker. I still remember nothing. And because of that, I wish you to call me Rey. It's the only name I know. And until I can remember Kara's life, calling me that gets confusing. Now can we get back to trying to jog my memory? Can you continue to tell me about Kira?
Okay, Kira. I am sorry, Rey. After the last stroll down memory lane, we only have what led up to your crash and me getting stranded here. I told you that you were one of my prized pupils and we developed a trusting friendship. The other students at the academy called you teacher's pet. When the academy was attacked, you and I were off planet to take your Jedi trials. When we returned to find the school destroyed, you were more determined than I was to find the survivors and get justice. I gathered Rogue Squadron, and we were making great progress until we were ambushed on Jakku. You and Wedge were shot down, and I am pretty sure the rest of Rogue Squadron was wiped out. I was overwhelmed by TIE fighters, and one of them managed to hit my hyperdrive, sending me into hyperspace. Since Act 2 was the next place we were going, R2 had already programmed it into the nav computer. But, since it was a sporadic jump, we came out of hyperspace just above Act 2's atmosphere, forcing me to crash into the water.
Sorry to interrupt, Rey, but Master Skywalker, we have been wasting too much time here. My orders were to find you and bring you back. Now Coruscant is under attack. For the millionth time, we need to get you back to the Republic and join the fight.
I understand your urgency, Poe. And your frustration. That's why I raised my X-Wing. To give you something to distract your anxiety. What we are doing here with Rey and Finn will be a deciding factor in the conflict to come. Please be patient for just a little while longer.
And what are you doing with Rey and Finn? We see you training the boy, but then you lock yourself away with him in your study, keeping him separated from the others. Why? And Rey?
Maz, please.
No, Mr. Jedi Master needs to hear this. Did you know she has dreams of the man that killed Han Solo? Memories of training with this man. Memories of being intimate with this man. And you won't show her who he is to her. I know somewhere in that do-gooder library of yours you have a way to restore her memory. Just do it already.
I have my reasons, Maz. You of all people should understand the weight of predictions.
Oh, I understand, Skywalker. It's that understanding that distresses me.
Feeling the tension and history between Skywalker and Kanata, Poe couldn't help but stop Maz on the way out of Luke's hut to ask.
So, what's with you and Skywalker? You seem to really have a disliking for the greatest hero in galactic history.
It is not Skywalker himself. I just have a general distaste for religious zealots. No matter how good their intentions, they always end up exploiting. Skywalker and I have a history, to be sure. After he turned Vader, Skywalker went looking for Force-sensitive beings to join him. And just like Jedi and Sith had been doing for centuries, he found himself on my doorstep, asking me to join his little club. And just like the Jedi and Sith before him, I rejected Skywalker. The Force is not darkness or light. Because darkness and light are in all of us. To worship one over the other is to deny part of yourself. And when you deny having darkness or light, it makes more powerful the side you want no part of. Balance is the Force.
Later that day, everyone finds themselves in front of Luke's hut after spotting an unknown ship headed towards the island.
Looks like time is up. Grab your weapons. These guys aren't here to talk.
Maz hands Finn a lightsaber and says,
You are ready.
Finn stares at the hilt in his hand. His confidence in his ability to wield any weapon is unshakable. He has been a soldier since he could lift a blaster. What gave Finn pause was his ability to wield the Force in battle. He just hoped his combat skills would be enough to make up for his inexperience with the Force, and he wished he had a blaster. The Force users walked down the mountain to meet their uninvited visitors, while Poe stayed at high ground to provide cover fire. Expecting to see stormtroopers, Poe's heart sank when he saw 6 black-cloaked figures at the bottom of the mountain, all wielding red lightsabers.
I will handle the 3 on the left. Everyone else pick your target.
Finn picks the cloaked figure closest to him, thinking the cloak would inhibit his opponent's ability, giving him the upper hand. Finn thought wrong.
You have the Force, but it's uncontrolled. You should be easy to dispatch.
You wouldn't be the first to try. Let's see what my new skills can do.
Rey, on the other hand, was giddy with excitement. She may not remember her past, but the feel of her lightsaber in hand is as familiar as an old friend. Her confidence wavers when her opponent calls her by name.
Kira, I'll look for you at the Academy during the Great Rebirth. I've always had a thing for you, and killing you sounded like a good way to express that.
Rey was thrown off for a second, but she remembered what Master Skywalker taught her. Not only about herself and staying focused, but also what he said about the Knights of Ren, that they know Kira and will use that against her.
Funny. I don't remember you at all, and I am sure if we met before, I would remember your horrible swordsmanship.
Rey quickly recognized her opponent's attack, is able to defend against it, and dispatch her enemy. Hungry for more, Rey looks over to see Finn could use some help.
Thank you, Rey. I guess I could use some more practice.
No, you did great for your first lightsaber duel. You aren't dead.
Poe watches everyone break off to square up against their chosen adversaries, except Maz Kanata. Maz was running away from her opponent, who walked menacingly after her. Maz stopped in front of Poe and quickly said,
Do me a favor and shoot the gentleman behind me, please. I will be right back.
Poe had been in the military long enough to know he was being used as a decoy. But what else could he do but trust Maz had his back? She always had in the past. So Poe started shooting. The Dark Jedi easily batted away every blast. He could have just deflected them back to hit Poe, but it was obvious the Dark Jedi wanted to be up close when Poe died. What happened next happened so quick, Poe's brain couldn't process it. The Dark Jedi reached Poe, disarmed him, and right before the lightsaber was reignited, it was removed from the Dark Jedi's hand by an unseen force and placed in the hand of Maz Kanata, who had positioned herself on the back of the Darkside user. Maz immediately ignited the lightsaber through the head of the Dark Jedi. Poe was in a daze, recounting the last few seconds over and over and still not able to piece them together. Maz's voice snapped him back to reality.
Poe Dameron, you can always be counted on to follow orders.
Meanwhile, Luke Skywalker faces 3 of his former students, and even though he knows it's futile, he calls them by their real names to try to break the dark spell that was put upon them.
Bander Cass. Slav terms. Krifter Dira. These are your true names. Remember them. Remember the light. You didn't make the choice to turn to the dark side. Remember your former selves.
I always hated your lecturing, Master Skywalker. I think I will rip out your tongue first.
Luke figured his pleading wouldn't get anywhere, but it was that threat that told him that his students weren't going to survive this. Luke let them attack, putting little effort into his counterattack. His students were trying to hit him with all their strength and skill, while Luke was merely stepping out of the way and occasionally parrying with his lightsaber, placing himself in positions that would allow for their attacks on him to hit one of their comrades. In the end, Luke let his students kill each other and left them to litter the hillside. The group gathered around Skywalker to find out their next move, but Poe already knew what their next move was.
With all due respect, Master Skywalker, we need to leave now.
You are right, Poe. It's time to join the fight. Everyone gather your things, we leave as soon as you are ready.
As the others get ready to leave, Luke Skywalker enters the Millennium Falcon, and for the first time since hearing the news, Luke allows himself to mourn his friend. On Starkiller Base, Kylo Ren has spent the past few weeks in a bacta tank, with nothing to do but relive the nightmare that led to his severe injuries. Reliving the fear he felt as his uncle Chewbacca stalked towards him with murder in his eyes. Reliving the grief, guilt, and horror he felt when he drove his lightsaber through his father's chest. This shouldn't bother him. This should have solidified his connection with the dark side. Instead, killing his father showed him he still had love left. He still had light left. And when he remembered the light, he remembered her. The quickening, when he thought of her, filled him with a longing for his old life. But he had to repress that, recognize the loss, and use the pain to fuel his anger. He wasn't Ben Solo any longer. He was beyond these trivial attachments. He was Kylo Ren. His only attachment was the pursuit of power. Relieved was the day he was removed from the bacta tank. To be able to distract himself from the thoughts he was having was a greater comfort than even his healed wounds. And he was barely dried off when distraction found Kylo.
Sorry to bother you, Lord Kylo, but you are summoned to have an audience with Supreme Leader Snoke.
Did Snoke order you to stand there personally and wait for me to wake up?
No, Lord Snoke was kind enough to allow us to take shifts. But someone was always watching for the moment you woke up. Don't say anything, but I wonder why he couldn't predict your awakening. Didn't Palpatine claim to foresee everything? Does Snoke not have that?
Watch it, Hux. You have no idea the powers he has, or the loyal informants. Always assume the walls have ears. Let Snoke know I will be there as soon as I get dressed.
To be clear, you found the map to Skywalker, let it slip away. You then found the missing Ren and let her slip away. You then retrieved both, before letting them slip away again along with plans for our invasion. Finally, you were bested in combat by a feral animal. Do you have anything to add to your incompetence, or have you reached your peak?
No, Master. I've reached my peak.
How dare you speak to me without your helmet? You have not earned the right to look me directly in the eyes.
Sorry, my master.
Kylo Ren quickly put on his helmet. He knew the rules, but the helmet was causing him such pain on account of his wounds.
Use the pain, focus it.
He told himself as the helmet encased his head.
But you don't know the consequences of your incompetence. You are unaware that 6 of your brothers in the Knights of Ren have perished at the hands of Skywalker. A problem you were supposed to deal with. And now only 6 Knights of Ren remain because of you. Your stupidity better not have cost me the apprentice with the most potential. The only reason you are in the running is the legacy of your family name. But I have no problem starting a new legacy. Skywalker is already on his way to the New Republic. So your mission was a complete failure. You are to leave Starkiller Base immediately and bring your fleet to Coruscant. I am having all the remaining Knights of Ren gather to reinforce the blockade. Do you think you can manage that without an Ewok killing you?
Yes, my master, I won't fail you again.
The Millennium Falcon comes out of hyperspace and lands on Dekuar, where Luke and company are met with an excited and concerned Republic Council.
Master Skywalker, we are glad you are well, but there is no time for pleasantries. Coruscant is under siege. A blockade of remnant star destroyers surrounds the planet. They have not landed any troops, though. Long-range sensors and limited information from the ground report the remnant has unleashed on the surface of Coruscant the same pathogen found at your Jedi Academy, only on a much larger and more powerful scale. The population is destroying the planet for the remnant.
Let Master Skywalker tend to the personal first. Luke, it's your sister. A few weeks back she isolated herself. Locked in her quarters, she barely speaks to anyone. No one has seen her eat. It's unlike Leia or Organa Solo to not be where she is needed. We have thought that the pathogen may have gotten to her somehow.
It's not the virus. A few weeks ago Han Solo was murdered. I felt his death from the unknown region. And my connection to Han wasn't anywhere near as strong as hers. I will go to her, and when her and I are finished, I will lay out my plan to take back Coruscant.
With all due respect, Master Skywalker, you've been missing for months. How can you even know what's going on, let alone have a plan to fix it?
General Madine, after everything you've seen Luke Skywalker do you really need to ask that question?
Seeing Luke's face brought life back to Leia. She rushed to her brother's arms, so happy to see him after all this time, not knowing for sure if he was okay. With her son missing and Han dead, Luke was all she had. They talked for a while, discussing recent events, including the probable death of Chewbacca, but both knew they would have felt it if their friend was dead. And finally, Luke broke the news to Leia that her son, Ben, was the one who killed Han. This news would have broke most people, but not Leia. She rose from her chair and said,
"To quote our late father, he will join us or die. Kylo Ren will die for killing Han. I just hope Ben doesn't die with him."
The whole military council was in session, just waiting for Luke to reemerge and tell them the plan he had. When Luke appeared with Leia, those in attendance had to hold back their excitement. Luke and Leia could feel hope rise in the Force. So Luke laid out his plan with the full backing of Princess Leia. A few brave officers voiced their concerns about giving the fate of Coruscant and its people to such a small probability. But Luke said he trusted the Force. And everyone else trusted Luke, so they got to work preparing for their attack. And Luke gathered his group to tell them the plan.
The Republic fleet will engage the remnant above Coruscant. It will look as though this is our big push to get control of the capital. But the fleet will only be a diversion to allow Poe to fly his X-Wing past the blockade and drop his payload onto the surface.
What's my payload?
You will be dropping a modified torpedo acting like an ejection pod. Inside will be Finn.
Master Skywalker, I have a few questions that may poke holes in this plan. If Finn survives the trip to the surface, aren't you forgetting the crazy virus affecting everyone on the planet? And the bigger question, why Finn?
Finn has a natural force ability to fend off coercion. Just being able to withstand multiple Imperial Remnant brainwashing sessions without training shows a talent even I don't possess. The theory is Finn's natural force ability will stop the virus from controlling him.
Theory? You are just going to throw him to the Gundarks based upon a theory. And what about the bloodthirsty hordes down there? How's he supposed to?
Rey, I volunteered for this. It's what Master Skywalker was training me to do all that time on Act 2. The Force gave me this ability for a reason. It has to be this. Not to mention liberating a whole planet has to count towards making up for all the bad stuff I did when I was with the Empire.
Oh, Finn, there must be another way, other than you fighting an entire planet alone.
He won't be alone. I am going with him.
I can't allow that, Maz. The dark side virus will turn you and you would be a liability to the mission.
Excuse me, great and powerful Jedi, but I don't need your permission. And I would not worry about a little old virus turning me. I have been keeping the Force balanced within me for over 1,000 years. What do you say, kid? You want company?
It is going to be awfully tight with the two of us crammed into that torpedo.
What is wrong, Finn? Don't like cuddling.
Master Skywalker, what are you and I doing during this plan of yours?
We are decoys in the Force, Rey. We will join the attack fleet in the Falcon. Snoke will be in the command ship, so we will try to board that and confront him. 3 Force users on the Millennium Falcon should distract Snoke enough to make him think that confronting him is our goal.
I'm sorry, sir, did you say 3 Force users?
Yes. I am going with you to confront my son.
Is that wise, Mistress Leia? You are a politician, not a warrior.
I will let that slide, one time, because of your amnesia. Yes, I am a former chancellor. Also a ranking general. But mostly you have forgotten I am a trained Jedi Knight and a Skywalker.
Later, Poe finds Finn wandering aimlessly around the flight deck.
Finn, my man, I have seen that face before. You nervous? Well, don't be. I will get you to the surface safe and sound. And as soon as you send the signal, I will be right there to pick you up. I got your back, brother. Now if you will excuse me, I have to run the pre-flight checklist. Keep your spirits up.
But Finn wasn't worried about the combat. For the first time in his life, Finn was fighting for something. Finn was worried about letting his friends down. The Finalizer flies through hyperspace on its way to Coruscant. Since Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer left Starkiller Base, the full might of the Republic fleet has engaged the Empire's blockade. Snoke had already called all the Knights of Ren to Coruscant, and now has instructed them to flank the Republic ships. A good plan, but all Kylo could think about was her, and the conflict the thought of her created in him. Just after the Jedi Academy fell, Anakin Skywalker would appear to Kylo, pleading with him not to give in to the dark virus, telling Kylo to fight it. But the more Kylo gave himself to the dark side, the less he saw his grandfather. Now Kylo Ren wished more than anything to see Anakin and find out how to become Ben Solo again, or how to kill his former self forever. The Finalizer comes out of hyperspace outside of sensor range of Coruscant or the ships that surrounded it. They were to remain here until all Wrens were in position. But the moment the Finalizer anchored their position, the ship rocks as it takes fire.
Admiral Hux, why have we come out of hyperspace in range of the rebel ships?
Sir, we haven't. Those blasts were close range. They came from...
Admiral Hux, the spaceball is hailing us.
I am sorry. Did you just say the spaceball is hailing us?
Yes, sir. They request your surrender.
Put them through. Moranis Ren, what is the meaning of this?
Just taking out the competition, Kylo. Figured if I blow up your Star Destroyer with you in it, this close to the battle, Lord Snoke would be none the wiser, and I am closer to being the one true apprentice.
End transmission. Shields up. Admiral Hux, keep the spaceball busy, but don't damage it. After I'm done, we will still need it for the battle over Coruscant.
What are you going to do, sir?
I am going to have a face-to-face chat with Moranis Ren.
Kylo Ren leaves the Finalizer and easily maneuvers through the confused battle. With both sides using identical ships, signals, and uniforms, everyone was hesitant to fire on anyone in fear of shooting down a friendly. And as Kylo thought, Moranis wasn't smart enough to change Imperial clearance codes, so he was able to get through the ray shields and land on the spaceball. Using the Force to guide him, Kylo Ren found Moranis Ren in the war room, quickly igniting his lightsaber at the sight of Kylo. And to his delight, all the Spaceball's Imperial officers were there to watch.
Kylo, I've been expecting you.
Really? Because you look a bit startled.
The two Wrens clashed lightsabers. But as Kylo expected, and Moranis must have known, Moranis was no match for Kylo. Even as a Padawan, Moranis wasn't attuned to the fighting aspect of the Force. Master Skywalker would reassure him that being a Jedi wasn't just about fighting, and many Jedi held other positions besides Knight. Kylo wondered what made Moranis think he could win this battle. Before Moranis hit the floor, Kylo Ren grabbed the nearest officer with the Force and choked him to death.
I am taking command of the spaceball. Does anyone have any objections? No? Good. Now stop firing on my Star Destroyer and link your computer with the Finalizer. We are going into battle and need to act as one.
The crew of the Spaceball pledged their allegiance and went to work adjusting procedures to the new command. Both Star Destroyers approached Coruscant, and the moment they were in range of communication, receive a transmission from Supreme Leader Snoke.
Lord Kylo, why are you traveling with the Spaceball? They were supposed to attack from the other direction. And where is Lord Moranis?
You are down to 5 Knights of Ren, Supreme Leader Snoke.
Snoke simply replied,
Excellent.
and ended the transmission. Kylo knew this to be approval and went into battle with the satisfaction of being one step closer to his goal. But as the battle went on, Kylo noticed a presence glowing in the Force like a bright star, and knew this could only mean one thing. The Skywalkers have entered the battle. Rey took the Falcon out of hyperspace just outside the battle over Coruscant. The goal was to draw as much attention as possible towards them and away from Poe's X-Wing, which drops out of hyperspace just after the Falcon does.
Master Skywalker, I think we are going to need more firepower than the forward guns.
Well, in that case, Rey, won't you join me in manning the gun turrets?
Who's going to fly the Falcon?
I was thinking Leia could give it a try. What do you say, sister? You think you can fly this thing?
I don't know. I only rode around with Han for 3 decades in this bucket of bolts. I think I might have picked up a few things.
Poe Dameron exits hyperspace with a full view of his target. Unfortunately, the full might of the remnant fleet was between him and said target.
I hope hyperspace was an enjoyable ride, because it's about to get bumpy.
It was great. Nothing more enjoyable than having Maz's goggles shoved into my jaw for hours while having nothing to look at. But we are packed in here so tight that I don't think bumps are going to matter.
Thanks, buddy. I see them.
Poe's X-Wing is immediately swarmed by TIE fighters. The plan was for the Falcon to act as a diversion so Poe could slip through, but it seemed any ship entering Coruscant space was immediately set upon by a squadron of TIE fighters. Even Luke Skywalker, with his decades of combat experience, hasn't seen anything close to the armada that Snoke has put together. So Leia stays with Poe.
The plan won't work if they are destroyed before they can even make atmosphere,
She tells Luke and Rey, and the three shift their strategy to defending Poe's X-Wing without making it look like they were defending Poe's X-Wing. But no matter how they tried, they couldn't make a hole in the blockade for Poe to fly through, undetected.
This isn't working. Master Skywalker, any suggestions?
Yes, I was thinking buzz the tower.
Buzz the tower? Really?
Yeah. It seems like a good distraction.
That's a Han Solo move. Not a Leia Solo move.
Ah. But it was also a Kira move. Let's see if Rey will remember her piloting skills like she remembered her lightsaber skills.
With all due respect, what are you two talking about?
Luke pushed past Rey to the comms.
Poe, when you see our signal, make your move.
Copy.
Again, what are you all talking about?
Well, Rey. That Star Destroyer over there is the Finalizer. We want you to fly the Falcon as close to the bridge as possible and drop an explosive. With a large enough blast will get Ben's attention. And when he senses his mother on board, he shouldn't be able to resist inviting us in.
Ben? You mean Kylo Ren? Are you crazy? We won't even get close.
Have faith in your skills, Rey. And have faith in the Force. You will do fine.
Okay, here goes nothing. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Kylo Ren stood motionless as he watched the Millennium Falcon destroy part of his bridge. Even as fires erupted around him, Kylo just watched, like he had been watching from the moment the Falcon left hyperspace. It shone like a beacon in the Force, a bright light that caused every emotion to flood his brain all at once. He couldn't ignore his uncle, his mother, or her any longer. His next test had arrived.
Admiral Hux, order all TIE fighters in our command to herd the Millennium Falcon into Hangar 49. The Falcon is not to be destroyed. I want to have a chat with its occupants.
Is that wise, sir? Pulling our fighters out of the battle will have a negative effect. Not to mention the occupants of that freighter most likely swing a lightsaber and are a little upset about the demise of its previous owner.
Kylo Ren said nothing and just stared at Admiral Hux through his helmet.
All I am saying is, letting Luke Skywalker loose and unchecked in our Star Destroyer is a bad idea.
Good thing I have no intention of leaving him unchecked.
Your plan is working, Master Skywalker. The TIE fighters in the area have all been diverted to stopping us, but they aren't shooting at us, only around us.
They are hurting us. My son probably wants to see his dear mother.
And run his lightsaber through you. I'm sorry. That was cruel. What do you mean they're hurting us?
I think she means they want us to enter that hangar down there.
That seems like an obvious trap.
It sure does. What do we do?
We spring the trap.
Poe wasted no time. The second the TIE fighters broke off their attack, he flew his X-Wing as close to the nearest Star Destroyer as he could. The TIE fighters may not be an issue any longer, but the turbo cannons on the larger vessels were still shooting down fighters. Fortunately, at the level Poe was flying, the cannons would not be able to hit him. So the X-Wing flew from Star Destroyer to Star Destroyer until he had a clear path to Coruscant. And for bonus points, he destroyed every turbo cannon in his path.
All right, you two. We are about to enter Coruscant's atmosphere. As planned, I will get you as close to the old Jedi temple as possible. We have no idea what kind of air defense is still in operation, so be prepared for more action.
But as the X-Wing entered Coruscant's airspace, Poe was shocked to see wide open sky. The never-ending lanes of air traffic that usually crisscross the city planet's skyline were gone. The only thing in the air with them were clouds and smoke. The sky was peaceful, but the ground was anarchy.
How is it looking, Poe?
To be honest, not good, Finn. But don't worry. With all the fires and collapsed buildings, it should be real easy to sneak around.
Very funny. You are really building confidence here.
Just trying a little levity. But seriously, I will be close by. Hit your beacon the moment you complete your mission. It'll be there to extract you before you know it. May the Force be with the both of you.
And with that, Poe released the escape pod and headed out of Coruscant's atmosphere. The pod landed safely with no issues. As they left the pod and surveyed their surroundings, Maz Kanata says,
In all my years in this galaxy, I have never seen a greater representation of hell than this.
The hangar was quiet for a hangar filled with dozens of stormtroopers. Once the Millennium Falcon cut its engines, the only sound that could be heard was distant alarms of the ship and the battle outside. The troopers stood frozen at attention. They knew what was inside the Falcon. Then the Brave slowly crept toward the boarding ramp, as if the slower they walked, the less likely the inevitable would come. They reached the ramp and pressed the button to lower it. And to their surprise, it lowered. Then their surprise turned to terror as 3 Jedi leapt out of the ship and began mowing the stormtroopers like blades of grass.
Master Skywalker, are they waiting for us to get tired? They just keep throwing stormtroopers at us. I'm starting to feel sorry for these troops. What do you think their plan is? They have to know by now that they need more firepower.
My guess is the plan is containment. They want us to remain in this hangar. Probably until Ben gets back up. I just can't figure out why I can't sense any other Force user on this ship besides us.
As if the Remnant was trying to make Luke's prediction come true, the stormtroopers began backing away from the Jedi, and 4 Darkside users appeared out of nowhere in the Force. And just as quickly, 4 red lightsabers ignited around the Jedi.
They are called Ysalamiri, Uncle. Snoke brought them back from the unknown region, small lizards that naturally create a blank space in the Force. They can be used to take away a Force user's power or hide a presence in the Force. For example, we have had a friend of yours for a while now. You can't sense him, but watch what happens when we remove the Ysalamiri from his cell.
At the same time, all 3 Jedi felt relief, joy, and guilt as they sensed Chewbacca's presence, weak but alive in the Force. Rey's guilt in particular took control of her actions. She had left Chewbacca on Starkiller Base. She had abandoned him. And now to make up for that, she would free him. But as she began to run, She paused only to hear Luke Skywalker yell.
Keep going, Rey. Chewie needs you. Leia and I will handle the Knights of Ren.
You are all fully confident, Uncle, but I think you are being a bit reckless with my mother's life. She isn't the Jedi that you are.
Rey ran with reckless abandon, using Chewbacca's presence in the Force to guide her. Stealth wasn't her goal. Freeing the friend she abandoned was all that mattered, and she cut down anyone that got in her way, until she reached the cell block. She then composed herself, walked up to the guards, and used a mind trick to get them to open Chewie's cell. Then she had the troopers stun each other. Rey's heart sank as she first laid eyes on the Wookiee. He barely could raise his head to see her.
You look terrible. Well, Wookiee beauty standards are beyond my understanding. Come on, this is no place to die.
But Chewbacca was in no shape to walk. It takes all Rey's strength to lift the Wookiee, and even with the Force helping her, Rey knew the journey back to the hangar was going to be a long one. Leia Organa Solo trained to be a Jedi. She passed her trials, making her a bona fide knight. But that was 20 years ago. Since then, her political career and personal life took up so much of her time. Keeping up on that training took a back seat. And as the Knight of Ren runs his lightsaber through her stomach, Leia thinks maybe Rey was right when she said that Leia is just a politician. Luke and Kylo both were so focused on each other, they failed to see the Knight of Ren sneak up behind Leia and impale her. But they both felt it in the Force.
No!
Kylo Ren had changed when he killed Han Solo, but not in the way he expected. The death of his father made Kylo remember Ben Solo. Now, with the possibility of his mother's death, Kylo Ren remembers he is Ben Solo, and he is pissed. Ben quickly kills his mother's attacker, as Luke takes care of the other Ren and then rushes to his sister's side.
You need to get her out of here. We can't treat her on the Finalizer. My medics will heal her just to execute her later. Get moving.
Not without Rey and Chewbacca. There was one more Knight of Ren that went after Rey. She won't be able to fend him off if Chewie is incapacitated. Leia would risk her life to save them, so I must do the same.
Just get my mother on board the Falcon and into some Bacta. I will get Kira and Chewie. Be ready to fly by the time we get back. And don't worry, I won't let any harm come to Kira.
It took all Rey's concentration in the Force to muster enough strength to carry the large Wookiee. And she was right about the trek taking a while. They were moving at a snail's pace. She had been concerned about what she would do if they ran into any hostiles, but none ever showed themselves. That is until one of the last hallways.
I hear you don't remember us, Kira. Well, I remember you, Miss High and Mighty Teacher's pet. I bet you are wondering why you haven't had anyone try to stop you from escaping with this beast. It's because I want to kill you, Kira. Even at the academy, I always wanted to.
Before she could put Chewie down and respond, Rey sees a red lightsaber stab into the Ren's neck and watched as his lifeless body fell to the floor. Standing over him was Kylo Ren.
You must come quickly. My mother has been wounded. Skywalker is tending to her, but she needs serious medical attention right away. Please hurry. But before we go, I want to make you an offer. I want you to join me, Kira. I remember who I am now, and I feel the dark side making me stronger than I ever was as a Jedi. If you join me, we can rule the galaxy in balance, the dark and the light, power and temperance.
Rey and Chewbacca made it the rest of the way to the hangar with no problems. Who would try and stop them with Kylo Ren as their escort? Once back on the Falcon, Luke's urgency was evident.
Oh, thank the Force you are both okay. We can exchange pleasantries later. I have stabilized Leia, but she needs more help than I can give her here. Rey, strap Chewie in and help me get the Falcon underway.
Master Skywalker, I've decided to stay with Ben. He recognizes himself again, remembers what he cares about. I can bring him all the way back. I may not remember it, but I feel the connection he and I share. I can make him good again.
Luke just stared for a moment, then walked past Rey and down the Falcon's ramp to meet Kylo in the hangar.
She believes you can be turned. I can't fault her for that. I too have been led by hope and faith. I also don't have time to have a discussion about her decision. So I am leaving her in the hope that she is right. But I am coming back for her. And when I do, whose side you're on won't stop me from tearing this ship apart to find and stop Snoke.
Snoke? He is not on this ship. For his dark side sickness to continue to spread, the source has to be on site. Snoke is the source. Snoke was at your academy when your students were exposed, and Snoke has been on Coruscant this whole time. Only he is powerful enough to maintain such a large undertaking as poisoning a whole planet.
Luke's heart sank. Shock covered his face. If Snoke is on Coruscant, that means Luke sent Finn and Maz Kanata to their death.
Worry not, my old master. I have love for Kira. I won't let any harm come to her. Now go. My mother needs medical attention. The Finalizer and its ties won't fire on you, but I can't say the same for the rest of the fleet. Stay close to this ship until you have a clear path. May the Force be with you, Uncle.
Before I go, answer a question for me. Who is Snoke?
I am surprised you haven't figured it out yet, Uncle. Snoke is the Sith that trained Darth Sidious.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I saw pictures of Coruscant and thought it was beautiful. I didn't realize the Empire was capable of this much destruction.
Are you kidding me? You guys hollowed out planets until they broke. That was pretty destructive. This is just war. Now hurry, the locals saw us falling from the sky and have come to see what new thing they can kill.
As planned, Maz Kanata and Finn snuck into the nearest alley and made for the nearest building with access to the roof. Assuming the source of the darkside virus would be highly protected, the duo landed a few blocks away as to not give away the element of surprise. And since the streets would be covered with bloodthirsty zombies, traveling by rooftop seemed like the best idea.
So, how do we know the bridges between buildings are still accessible?
Bridges? What are you talking about? We never discussed bridges.
So we are just going to jump?
Oh, heavens no. I am far too old for that. You are going to jump. I have a booster pack.
Well, I don't have a booster pack.
No, you have the Force. Use the Force.
So Finn jumped. The Force came easy to Finn. Everything that happened to him since Jakku was out of the realm of possibility for a stormtrooper. So being able to make this jump was just another impossible thing he was doing. And as far as he could tell, that is what a Force user does. See the impossible and make it happen. After a few more jumps, the pair make it to the rooftop adjacent to the source, which just happens to be the Senate building.
So how do we know this is Ground Zero?
The Republic was monitoring the event from the beginning. The virus spread in all directions from this single point. This has to be the spot.
Well, I don't see any kind of security. Not even a guard. Hell, I don't even see any infected.
I say we stick to the plan and sneak in through the underground tunnels. There has to be some defense, and we don't want to trigger it. Just get in, destroy the source, and get out.
But Finn was wrong. There were no defenses, no guards, just empty hallways and an empty rotunda. As Finn and Maz rode the service elevator to the Chancellor's chambers, the tallest point in the Senate building, Maz comments,
I have a bad feeling about this. I sense nothing in the Force at the top of this lift. Just a black hole in the Force, as if
a creature that shouldn't be in this region is here? Tell me, Maz, when last did you see Ursula Mary?
The lift doors slid open to reveal a large room converted into some kind of power generator, and in the middle was a hideously deformed giant of a being.
Well, let's postpone your reunion with the creatures. They would make the preceding events a lot less entertaining. Guard, remove the Islamiri. Maz Kanata, FN2187, please come in.
I wish you had your bad feeling before we got in the turbo lift. Any ideas?
Only one thing one can do when faced with a situation such as this. Grab your balls and dive in.
As Maz and Finn walk toward the being in the center of the room, the many guards move to intercept. Finn draws his lightsaber and, with great concern, asks Maz,
You did bring a weapon this time, didn't you?
Yes, of course. I still have the red lightsaber I took off the nice gentleman on Act 2.
But you never did learn to properly use a lightsaber, did you, Maz?
Do you guys know each other?
Oh, yes. He go Damask and I go way back. To about 70 years before the Clone Wars. He tried to get me to be his apprentice. But I was not a fan of the rule of two. It seemed so restricting. Probably why I never got married. What were you calling yourself back then? Darth Plagueis. That was a hell of a lot better than Snoke. You looked a lot better too. Looks like Palpatine's betrayal left a mark.
Commitment is not your biggest flaw, Kanata. Your mouth holds that honor. Guards, kill Maz Kanata and bring me her tongue. But leave FN2187 alive. I have some questions he must answer.
You had to lay it on thick?
Like I said, grab your balls and jump in.
But despite all of Maz's bravado, it turns out Snoke was telling the truth. Maz didn't have the skill to take on Snoke's guards, who apparently also wielded the Force. The guard backed Maz all the way back to the turbo lift shaft, where the door was open but the lift was too far down to see. Maz had a choice to make: die or abandon Finn. Since she couldn't help Finn dead, Maz leapt into the shaft and ignited her booster pack, all the while using the Force to ward off the guards' attempts to drag her back. Finn, on the other hand, was doing quite well. He had improved since Ahch-To, and these guards weren't as skilled in the Force as the Knight of Ren he fought. Finn was doing well until he heard Snoke's booming voice.
She left you, FN2187. Maz Kanata saw her chance and abandoned you to die. Just like Luke Skywalker did when he sent you here. The Force is just FN2187. You abandoned the Empire and your brothers in arms, and now what you left them for has abandoned you.
And that's all it took to break Finn's concentration enough for the guards to find a weakness in his defense. Finn falls to the ground, too disoriented to understand how he got there, only to be brought back to his senses by Snoke's booming voice.
Now, my misbehaving stormtrooper, how is it that you are not affected by my spell?
Before we talk about me, I have to know. How close did we get to the source of the virus before we fell into your trap?
I am the source. The virus, as you call it, emanates from me. The Senate building has been turned into an amplifier of my power. Now it's your turn. What are you using to protect yourself from me?
Well, I too am the source. I have a natural ability to fend off bad influences.
Interesting. I can't wait to see the extent of this natural ability.
Back on Dakar, Luke Skywalker stands in the med bay reflecting on where his plans have led. His best friend dead, his longtime friend and sister in Bacta tanks, the people that trusted him probably dead, and his final student possibly turning to the dark side. As always, Luke did what he thought was right, and the Force usually led him to those decisions. But he couldn't imagine why the Force would have them here. Poe Dameron storms into the medbay and heads straight for Luke.
You just left Rey with that monster. And now I hear rumors that I dropped Finn and Maz off on a suicide mission with little chance of success? I know you are considered the greatest hero the galaxy has ever known, but since I've known you, all you've been great at is getting my friends killed. Now quit moping over the people you've already saved, because there are more people that need saving. People that you put in harm's way.
You are absolutely correct, Poe. R2 just finished preparing my X-Wing. We leave as soon as you are ready. I never had any intention of leaving any of them behind. And I am glad to have you as my wingman.
Oh. Well, all right then. I can be ready within the hour.
Poe. We will not abandon Maz, Finn and Rey to torment in death. Not while we have strength left.